Hi, Jerry.
Greetings, everyone.
Hi, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
Nice to see all of you.
And you?
Nice
Good to be
see you
seen.
too.
I bring you greetings from the technology team.
Oh,
Had a lot to discuss based on our little frightened aspect of this past Sunday.
I sense pandemonium.
Oh my
what
God.
happened on Sunday? We couldn't get you for quite a while.
Yes, well, there was quite a flurry that, I think we might try going back. We used to see if we were functioning at quarter of, and I think we should go back and do that again because they didn't check the thing until they did the lead-in stuff, which only starts about 4 or 5 minutes beforehand, and something was awry. And Kit, the youngest person in the room, saved the day. I don't know what button he pushed, but he thought of the right button to push and fixed something, and then we were able to get on. So,
But I was pushing buttons for 20 minutes before I got on.
well, Judy, you are a good button pusher.
Well, you got it. You got that right.
She knows how to push. Knows how to push the buttons.
You boys better be nice to me.
Well, we know what the alternative is. Yeah.
That's right.
Maybe we like having our buttons pushed. Who knows?
Maybe.
Depends on which buttons, I guess.
I guess so.
Um,
Well, I'm not techie at all. So that's very frustrating to me sometimes.
Unfortunately, Alyssa Brown, who was supposed to be in on this meeting, just
Yeah.
emailed me and said she has been feeling very horrible all day, achy, not COVID symptoms, but other horrible flu-like symptoms, and is in bed. And she just did not feel that she'd be able to pull it together to be on a Zoom call. I am recording tonight's session, so I will happily share that with her. So, but you won't get a chance to meet her, but I can tell you who she is and about their
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, good. So you'll be Alyssa and Jerry tonight.
Yeah, well,
Good personality.
I'm not sure whether Judy and David know the Browns.
I don't think so.
No. Does she work at Alina?
I'm not sure. I can tell you where they sit in the sanctuary.
Well,
It's
That might
useful
do.
information.
They sit right to the right. If I'm sitting at the piano, they're almost always right in that line of pew. He is tall, very good looking, buzzed hair, and works construction and was on trustees for a while. Had a little philosophy difference of opinion with a former female head of trustees, so took some time off, but is probably going to go back on. And his wife they're a beautiful couple, and they have two girls. I think they have one each, and then they're both divorced and have married each other. And they have just been, I bonded with them when they had volunteered to redo the signage out on Highway 55. And
oh my gosh.
they were up on ladders and everything else. And I just went over and talked to them for, 45 minutes went by. They are delightful, progressive, lovely people, and she will be wonderful to have on this committee.
Well, I sit way across on the other side. So I don't even know if I could see them if they sit in the middle there. I'm
Anyway,
anxious to meet them.
There is something to why people sit where they sit. There's been a lot of studies done about why people sit at certain places in the sanctuary, and it has that there's a resonance, that people feel a certain resonance, whether on one side or another, and they feel more connected. And when people, when a stranger comes and sits in your seat, I've seen people walk out of the synagogue.
oh,
If somebody was in their seat. I mean, no seats are marked, but that's their seat. And they go out there and there's someone there and they just turn around and walk right out.
Years ago, Tony and I sat on the other side, and Dale Kelke tapped me on the shoulder and wanted to know what I was doing over there.
I know.
Was I doing something sinister or what was going on? He thought I was a spy.
I
Yeah.
think you might have been.
Might have been.
Could have
Yeah,
been.
exactly.
I try to sit
Yeah.
near the keyboard so I can watch Jerry and then turn to my wife and go, how does he do that?
Yeah.
Magic. So we may not take the entire hour since we're a smaller group tonight. And last night, I had on my list that Chris was supposed to be in the group last night, and he was not there.
Oh, really? Okay. I'll touch base with him.
Chris was at our Lenten service, wasn't he? Oh,
I-
you weren't there.
I was not because I was directing the bell choir rehearsal.
Yeah. I thought Chris was there last night.
If Terry, if you want to have a little chit chat with the other two, I can touch base. Amber or Austin Smith are supposed to be part of our meeting tonight too, so I can double check with them.
Yeah, would you? And then we'll just wait for you while you're doing that. I actually have a few questions that I want everybody to respond to and everybody to hear each other's responses. So we could just wait while Jerry's checking in with them.
Okay.
Calling Amber now.
Okay. In fact, I'm just going to refill my water glass. I'll be right back.
Amber, Terry Rubino. I'm well, and you? Sure. Okay, great. We just wanted to, we knew you were busy and this week's late, but we're anxious to have you in part of the meeting, so.
Are you a basketball fan, Dave?
When it comes time for the NCAA tournament, yes. Otherwise, no.
Okay.
It's just remarkable
okay.
with those. They can play so well. I just enjoy watching any team. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
That was the
Well, we
only
didn't
sport.
do-
What?
I was gonna say, we didn't do very well with
No.
the Big Ten, but just one team left, but
Well, basketball was the only sport I played in high school,
oh,
and I wasn't very good at that.
but did you have fun?
Well, I did, and I tell the story often that our secret weapon on the team was a guy named Red Graves, and you got to pass the ball to Red and then have him start driving to the basket, because Red sweat a lot and nobody wanted to touch him, and so he would drive in every darn time. He'd make it to the basket.
Whatever works.
Yeah, I don't want to get that sweat on you. That's for
No.
sure. The wrong sport, you don't want to get sweat on you.
No. I had a friend that always, he would say that he thought basketball was the most, a sport that you could get hurt in the most because you had no protection on you. You were out there, and when you fell on that floor or against somebody else, it was pretty tough. And
Yeah.
I'm not so sure he wasn't a little bit right, because they're just very vulnerable.
My grandsons, who are hockey players, think basketball is way too slow.
Oh, yeah.
All sports they have their share of injuries. They're all
Yeah.
dangerous in some way. I
Yeah.
played soccer in high school and college,
Oh, yeah.
and
Watch for your shins.
many injuries, ACL tear,
Yeah.
concussions. Yeah, broke chipped teeth from getting kicked in the face.
Yeah, it is scary.
That's why you're young when you play these sports.
Surprising, I played hockey and soccer all through high school, and I got injured more in soccer than I did in hockey.
You have less protection in soccer.
Soccer, yeah.
Hockey, you're wearing a fair amount of equipment, course, you do have that ice,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
which is quite hard when you land on it.
For sure.
So now it seems that we've lost Jerry, at least temporarily.
Who did we gain?
You're on amber
Oh,
screens.
yeah, I jumped on. I'm Austin Smith. Sorry.
Hi, Austin. I'm Judy Stewart. I don't know if I've met. Hi, Amber.
Hi. Amber.
And-
Probably not.
and
You may
Austin.
have seen me play guitar a few times in the band.
Okay.
Okay, well,
I know I was a bit late. I was trying to get our almost 1-year-old and 4-year-old to bed. So
oh, that's,
You mean
that's a
that
lot of work.
takes time?
yeah, it does.
You're lucky you're here now.
I know. I hear one running around. So Amber just left. So she's probably
Okay.
chasing him around.
We have 4 kids, and I thought that there was a period about 10 years I didn't sleep one night.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
sure.
I don't think
Between
I've
4,
slept
you know.
over 4 hours in a long time.
One was, by the time one was wetting the bed, and then the other was having bad dreams, and
Yeah.
it was just,
And somebody wanted water?
Yeah, they always
Yes.
know the excuses. Water, bathroom, I'm scared. Yeah.
Well,
learn- they
I'm
learn
here
pretty
to,
quick.
I'm here to tell you that all your hard work when they're young is worth every waking night that you had.
Yeah.
I
I'm sure it
agree.
is.
And they've
Yep.
all turned out to be good citizens, so I'm very proud of them.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Bye.
Here he comes.
Here it comes. All right, welcome
Oh.
back.
I chose to call because it's.
Oh, that was good. I was wrangling the kids.
I heard, and that's okay. And Amber was like, "Oh, I've never heard such high sounds come out of her mouth." That was really kind. Chris Hagee has apologized profusely for missing Tuesday, and he was iffy about tonight. That's why I put him in the Tuesday night. And then I think his brain is a little bit overloaded. He is heavily involved in scouts with his 2 boys, and he volunteers a lot. So that's who we're missing tonight. Again, so I'll be sending this. I'll send the recording of what we do to these folks.
Okay.
All right, so welcome everybody, and thanks for taking the time to be on this call. I have 4 questions that I'm going to be asking each of you this evening, and there's no correct order for responding. Although, in order to role model, I will respond first, so you get an idea of what I'm looking for. I'm really, really, truly grateful for all of you taking the time, because we have many resources, but our most precious resource is time, because there's just no more of it. Every minute spent, you can't get it back. Other things we can replace, but not our time. So it's really a gift that you're giving to your church and to your faith community, and by extension to the entire world, because every faith community reverberates throughout the world. So I really and truly believe that. I'm going to, my first question is, what had you say yes to being part of this task force? What had you say yes to being part of this task force? And I'm going to respond first. For me, it was Jerry's invitation, actually. Jerry reached out to me. Jerry and I know each other over a long period of time. It's not my first rodeo with Spirit of Hope Church. In fact, the first time I worked with your church, it was before you were even had renamed yourself. So I go back a long ways with a variety of different things that I've done working with Spirit of Hope. And the other, so Jerry reached out to me and talked about this very exciting project about imagining what the church is going to look like after this pandemic. A lot of organizations are waiting for it to end and then they'll figure it out. But the smart ones are taking the time right now to do exactly what you're doing. So I was excited by the possibility. I've been doing that with some of my coaching clients as well. Another reason I said yes is my good friend Carolyn Miller and her family, Jean, and her children and grandchildren. Carolyn and I met at a workshop that we were both participants in back in, I think it was 89. So it's been quite a long time. And we became instant friends, and we have been friends ever since. And our families have known each other, and we've watched our kids grow and get married and all those good things, and our grandchildren born. So we have a long history. And again, as I said, I have a good history with your church, and I've always loved my opportunities to interact with the members of Spirit of Hope. So that's what had me say yes to being on this task force. And what about you? And I'm going to take notes.
I'm going to go next just because I take some blame for really pushing this agenda.
Thanks, Jerry.
A year ago, when this all hit, there was a lot of unknowns, of course. And but as often happens in church, I often get into these meetings and I hear somebody saying, "Oh, somebody ought to do this," or "We ought to do this," or something. It would be nice if someone did this, but then somebody stepping up to take the leadership of it and creating action items even after discussing it for the longest time has just been a passion of mine. And to try to make sure that if we spend time talking about it, that we have an action item so that we feel that our ownership into it was worthwhile and move forward. So some of you may or may not know, I don't know, but the SPR, Staff Parish Relations, has increased my salary to actually take on the leadership of quite a few of these committees. And so I have been kind of helping to drive these and administrate a lot of them. And I'm feeling really good about what we've been able to accomplish. It just became very clear in our staff meetings that it suddenly occurred to us that some of you know Wilson Garland and all of the leadership that he gave us to create what he called 2020 Vision, which really began in 2015 and resulted in several documents and presentations to the congregation, which I have shared with Terry. And I think that there was a lot of good stuff in there. And but the reality, as we've been starting to look at reconvening and coming back, is that we've lost our youth program, we've lost our children's program, we've lost a lot of programming that, you know, we have really maintained the church community because of Sunday morning and of all of the emails, but we don't know what is going to be, what church will look like when we reconvene. And some of that will probably involve continuing to be online. I think we might get more people to serve on committees if they just have to tune in and talk. But I don't think that there's any way of replacing any of the music program, Austin, without having you.
I heard you call me out last Sunday.
I just was hoping for you, you know, just saying what we hope for. Terry, Austin plays guitar and has been part of our band a bit. Anyway, I'm just saying that we as a staff really just started to go, you know, at some point, Carolyn, as you know or don't know, has been volunteering her time to lead the children and family ministries. And we're going to need to hire somebody. With Riva gone, we're going to need to try to recreate the youth group and so on and so forth. We were at 20 plus kids back before COVID hit. So I'm just passionate that we have something, some goals and objectives for what church would look like in order to be able to make some good hires and to really be able to put out realistically what we believe God is calling our church to do in terms of its programming. So I'm grateful that, again, staff meetings are very long, every Wednesday. And when Terry's name came up as a facilitator for this, there was unanimous, instantaneous, like, it's a no-brainer, and let's just see. So grateful for him and for all of you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jerry. Who else? Who wants to be next? What had you say yes to being part of this task force?
I could go. I guess I guess being maybe some slightly younger on the curve of, you know, a lot of people that are maybe involved in certain communities and I guess task force like this, I felt I guess kind of honored, and I thought that it was neat that Jerry reached out to kind of a broad range of people. I know Amber and I have discussed with a lot of our friends that are our age and younger, and I think a lot of younger people kind of struggle with what is church and what does it mean to them, and how can they kind of shape it in their lives. So I think, you know, maybe trying to learn from others in maybe a group like this, and also maybe share some of my ideas. And I just thought it would be both a good learning experience and you know, we have two young boys right now, and you know, we think Spirit of Hope is a great place. We fell in love with the music initially right away. We picked Spirit of Hope because we moved to Golden Valley and it was down the road, and my wife grew up Methodist. I grew up Lutheran, so and it was a great fit right away, and we just love the people. And so I think any way we can help or be a small part of that, I think is great. So
Okay, great. Thank you, Austin.
I
I'll
may
chip
be-
in next. Are you gonna go, Judy? Go.
Oh, well, you can, Dave, whatever.
The reason I said yes was because of Carolyn. She's a longtime friend as well. And there are a bunch of people in that church. Whenever they ask me to do something, I just say yes. It's a good community for that.
Yeah.
And I belong to the church for about 50 years now. Judy, you probably at least as long, I'm not sure. But so we've done a lot of things in the church, and this is a very unusual time. We've never had a time like this, even close in the church. And while these kinds of meetings are not my strong suit, I wanted to be part of it and just see where we're going to go from here. So I was intrigued by the topic and the time, and just want to do a few more things in the church. So that's why I joined the group.
Great, great. Thank you. We're glad to have you. And Judy?
Okay, well, I was on
I
a
mean, I grew up
committee.
when the ladies went first, but you know, here you're
That's
going.
okay.
This time you're going last.
I think that's okay. I too have been to the church 50 plus years, so I'm just opposite of you, Austin, so it's really nice to meet you. And I know we have a lot of gray-haired people there, and so that's kind of what I miss now, except being able to Zoom and listen to church on Sundays. It's been really helpful. I have been a little concerned that when we go back to full programming and so forth, if everybody will come back. I mean, I know everybody won't, but a lot of people will. But I get a little bit nervous thinking that it might be an awful lot easier just to make yourself a cup of coffee and let the kids play with something in the living room and you watch church. But to me, church is the people that I've known there for, like I say, more than 50 years. And I was asked to be on a committee just before this one by Jerry and probably Carolyn, I would think, where we were trying to figure out when we were going to go back to church, how long it would be, what has to happen between the start of COVID when we started our other committee, and to figure out what has to happen in order to go forward. And we do have several older people in our church, and so I think it's important that we cover all ages, because I certainly want to see a youth program go well. Our music program is beautiful and we miss that. But to me, to start church where you can't have any music, you can't touch anybody else, you have to sit 50 miles away. I thought, oh my gosh, maybe it's just as well that I Zoom in or whatever. But anyway, I guess the main thing is that it's important to me what happens at Spirit of Hope. And I don't know if I can be of help, but if I can, I'll try.
Quickly, Judy, would you share so that Terry Bookman knows of your uh, all,
Other life?
well, Sunshine Valley.
Okay. Well, I worked at the nursery school for many long years ago. And in 1975, we figured out that we needed more than just a couple hours a day for people because family needed childcare. So I took it upon myself to work on it, and the church, I guess I should just make one other statement. One of the larger organizations that had big daycare came and wanted the church to they could rent space and so forth, and they wanted me to direct the program. But at that time, the church decided that we would just rather do it ourselves. And two members of our church gave us some startup money, and we were able to pay that back at the end. But so it took quite a bit of time to get everything licensed and going. But anyway, I worked there for 26 years, started by doing all the cooking and everything. So we've changed the program a lot, but I have two wonderful ladies that worked when my mom was needing my help, and as she got older. And so these two girls took it over, and they're still there. And I'm sure, Jerry, that you can vouch for their wonderfulness. And anyway, so that I am so old that some of my kids were back at school and wanting to work there. And some of my kids, I even had one that invited me to his wedding. And when he got up, he said, I just invited the most important people in my life here. He said, even my nursery school teacher is here. So, that's great. And I think a lot of people, as they go down Highway 55, they think of Sunshine Valley, and we have been very, very blessed to have a wonderful staff. That's the story.
Great, thanks. I know about Sunshine Valley too. So really good. All right, so my second question, and by the way, I have 4 questions because this Saturday night begins the Passover for us. And if you've ever been to a Passover Seder, it's built around 4 questions. So I'm in the mode already.
Oh,
So my second question is, what gifts do you bring to this process? What gifts do you bring to this process? And I'm asking, please don't be too modest, okay? Tell us what your gifts are. So I'll start again. So one of the gifts I bring is 25 years of coaching and consulting. I've done this work, and I've done especially the visioning process with at least 100 people, 100 leaders that I've coached, and with dozens of organizations. So I really believe in the whole visioning process. I think it's really important, and it helps us to set a direction on where we're going into the future. I also bring a sense of humor, and I think it's important that we have fun while we're doing this. It's not all work. We have to laugh too, and laugh at ourselves sometimes. And I have also written the textbook on healthy faith organization. So book that came out, was published by Alban Press a number of years back, I think around 2010, called This House We Build. And it talks about how do we have healthy houses of worship for the people who dwell there, the people who work there, and the people who come with their faith commitments. So and making that all work in a good way for everybody. So those are gifts that I'm bringing to this process. What about you? Don't have to go in the same order as the last time, but yeah.
well, I'll start then.
Okay.
I think I bring a gift of friendship. I think I'm friendly to a lot of people and have made many friends there, and enjoyed learning about a lot of people and being a friend to them, trying to stay connected, being on groups where I'm on a team where we, talk with our homebound people or send cards and birthday times and so forth. So I think I'm kind of hospitable. I can make coffee and bring brownies to about anything, but don't ask me to take notes. I really care about what happens to a lot of people there and try to remember their families, and I'm just very grateful to be there.
Okay, well, since we're doing this virtually, you're going to need to send me a box of those brownies. Just saying.
Oh, just saying, okay.
Okay, well, thank you. What else? Who else? Who's next? What gifts are you bringing to this process?
I think the gift that I might bring would be just after 50 years, I have a willingness to do any work it takes to do whatever needs to be done. I just enjoy helping out in the church and give my energy to that. So that would be my major gift, I think.
I would say I would piggyback off of that, and I, pretty much am down for just about anything. If the toilets need cleaning and the floors need sweeping, I don't shy away from things like that. I'm a detail-oriented person, I think. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, but so I like to pick at the details of things. I have a passion for music. As Jerry mentioned, I like to play guitar, and once the kids are a little more stable and I sleep more than a few hours a night, I would like to be more involved in the music side. And I think we're slowly inching towards that mark, but nights are slowly getting better and getting some sleep. So that's good. I don't know. Did you want to?
Hi, sorry, I missed the first part.
Hi, Andrew. We'll catch you up.
Yeah. I'd like to add a little bit with what Austin said and others, that I'm very organized. I'm detail oriented, but sometimes the opposite of that. I think that's why we're still married, maybe. I think more big picture. And to answer the very first question, why we joined the church in this group is, I think we're both very open-minded and excited. I think of what we see the potential of Spirit of Hope. That's the first thing I think for me that comes to mind is the potential. And yep. I see, Judy, you mentioned how you might see things differently after the pandemic. And I'm hope that more people come when we open our doors again. Because I think for us, especially like young families, we're looking to feel connected. And for me, church has always been community. And I just don't get that through virtual. You probably don't either, but for us, music was such a big thing and the feeling of community, and you just don't get that through a computer. So I hope more young families feel that way too.
I do.
And I'm leaning over, so I'm going to go back and sit down, but I'm here.
Okay, we got you. Thanks for coming. Yeah, what gifts, Jerry?
Can I just say in response to Amber that I've been very excited to notice the comments on the right side of the Facebook feed on Sunday mornings. We're getting people that none of us on the church staff know who some of these people are, who are actually taking the time to comment. So I'm very excited that, and we're starting to get emails from people saying, are you guys open and in person yet? Which is why I have just yesterday sent an email to the reconvening task force that includes Judy, about having some discussions on this. So it's very, very timely. Years ago, I've been at the church from 30, this is my year. And so people often put me, I should really be calling David and Judy, but I'm often the historian and have worked with, 10 pastors and so many different people. And somehow I'm still there, so I must be doing something that is somewhat collaborative. And I think that that's what I do best, is being an educator that brings people together and tries to bring out the best in each other. When we wrote our mission statement for the music program, it's very simple. We desire to discover, nurture, and offer our gifts to God and to our community. And I'm very proud of that, because that's really what we do work on. And that to me is not just giving people chances to do things, but it brings God into the mix in terms of being the source of it, and then being the ultimate in terms of worship offer back. So I think that's where my gifts lie.
Don't forget the music gifts. This is Bubby. She wants to say hello. My new
Hi
kid,
there.
Cute.
trying to keep her off the computer keys. Okay.
Go play.
All right, excellent. Moving right along, I'd like to ask you, what can we count on you for? This is a big process. I mean, we're going to be together 6 weeks in the process, but it'll go on a few weeks after me. So what can we count on you for? And you can count on me to be on time for all our session and prepared. You can know that I will do everything that I promise. I made some very big promises to Spirit of Hope in the covenant that I signed with Jerry on behalf of the church about what I promised to deliver. So I will deliver what I promise. I will provide confidence in and support of your leadership. I believe that the group of people that Jerry has convened has all the ability, the talent, the commitment, the knowledge, the awareness, and the connections that we will need to make this successful. And I'm a stand for that. In fact, I have felt that on each of the 3 conversations that we've had this week with the smaller group, that each of the smaller groups, if they had to, they can make it happen. And I believe that, hearing what your connections and your commitments already, I believe that can happen. I'm committed to this process, believe in it, and I believe we will be successful. And again, I believe that we have the exact right people. That's the church magic. Somehow the Spirit moved through Jerry, and he knew exactly who to pick, and the right mixture of ages and experience, and new people and young people and veterans, and so I think we have great. And you can count on me to provide exemplary leadership. It's important. What you're doing is important to me personally, and so I will provide the best leadership that I have to help you get to the place where you need to be as a church community. So what can I count on you for? What can we all count on you for?
Don't know if on time, considering we were, I believe, 7 minutes late, and it took a phone call. But we
Don't promise that. That's okay.
Yeah. But I know Amber and I are definitely committed. We really love the church and the people, and we will definitely give everything we can in our ability, and don't be afraid to ask things of us. We will say no and set our limits if we can't, and we will definitely strive for things that we can do. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, you're the guys who will call at 4 a.m. because I know you're up.
No, we'll be up. Definitely, we'll be up.
Great.
And side note, we live really close too. So we can walk to church. So if there is anything that is needed at the church, let us know. We can buzz over.
Thank you. That's good to know. I didn't know where you lived. And since I'm talking, I'll just say, I think that I bring an oddity in that I like meetings. People are shocked, but I love diversity of opinion, contrary to popular belief, because if we can create a sense of safety in that group, then difference of opinion only winds up becoming strengthening. And collaboration doesn't mean that everybody gets everything that they want. It's a matter of distilling it and finding what the best is and stuff that we all wind up being able to agree that we can live with. I think that's one of my gifts, and my commitments is to follow through with what we are setting to do.
Okay, thank you.
I have to say that I'm struggling a bit because they opened up some things here at where I live at Gramercy. And I was on a group of people that played a game of cards on Thursday night. And yesterday, they opened that up and have called me and, well, we're starting tomorrow night. Now, aren't you coming? And I said, well, I haven't made another commitment that I have a meeting to go to. And so I guess I have to say I'm struggling with that. It doesn't seem like cards is as important, but I have 3 other older ladies that were depending on me. So anyway, I'm struggling with that. Otherwise, the other thing is, I probably belonged to every group in the church and worked on it, was part of the leadership of the teams. And since I've gotten older, moved farther away, can't drive at night. So it's easier for me to do a Zoom call, for long periods of time. So I just hope that what I can do would be important in the, but I do have a little struggle right now.
Well, this is the only Thursday night commitment you have.
Oh,
Moving
really?
Yeah,
forward,
we'll be meeting on Tuesdays.
it'll be Tuesdays.
Well, so I'm glad I confessed. So I'll feel better about that then. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not only cards, it's the sense of community and connection that,
Well, that
Yeah.
was what I wasn't thinking of me. I could play cards with anybody anytime,
right,
but this particular group was,
yeah.
Oh,
Cards
I'm
is just
so
the
glad.
excuse. Cards is just the excuse for being with each other and loving each other.
Exactly. And we've been without that for a year. And believe me,
Yeah,
that's been harder for some than others. And I
absolutely.
think we have to be aware of that. Because I'm talking, a little bit about gray-haired people who are
Mhm.
wonderful people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And finally,
thanks for dyeing your hair gray so we could see that.
Yeah. Otherwise, you wouldn't recognize me. I'd be so young. My wrinkles
Exactly.
mean nothing.
Exactly. That's experience lines.
Yep.
David, what about you? What can I count on you for?
I was going to say that I'll participate to the best of my ability. I don't know quite what this meeting will be like.
No.
I really won't know what I can do until I'm there, but I'll do whatever I can.
Okay.
It's a very interesting thing we have to get done.
Yes, it is. Great. Okay. So is there anything else I should know about you as we embark on this journey together? Anything else you want to tell me about you? I'll just tell you a couple of things about myself. One, I'm a person of deep faith commitment. I was one of those little kids that actually enjoyed going to synagogue growing up, and because of my relationship with God. And God hasn't given up on me yet, and I certainly haven't given up on God. So that underscores everything I do in life. Every choice I make really comes out of my faith commitment, and I believe that God calls us to help one another, and that's our primary purpose on this planet is to hold each other, embrace each other, both in times of joy and gladness, and in times of pain and suffering. So so that's how I tend to live out my faith commitment. I try to organize everything I do around 3 words: authenticity, honesty, and integrity. I will be authentically me. When I show up, Terry Bookman shows up. And it's not somebody else. I think that's God wants us, for all of us, because God only made one of us, so we have to be ourselves. I will be honest. I hope always with kindness, but if I don't like something, you'll know about it. I don't play games, and when I like something, I'll be the one jumping up and clapping. So you'll know that I'll be true to myself and to you. And I believe that, we are only as good as our word. I learned that from my dad. So that's where our integrity comes from. So if I give my word, you can bet your life on it that I will live up to it. So integrity is very important to me. Anything else I should know about you guys? And then we'll have some time for you to ask me some questions as well.
I'm writing a book. I don't think anybody.
You are.
Now we do.
I got a grant. First time I ever applied for one, I got a small grant and decided given the gifts that I have been able, I mean, when I say gifts, I mean, yes, God gave me some artistic gifts, but starting with my first two jobs were jobs that I did not feel qualified for. I was the director of, Terry, I don't even know if you know this, I was a youth director before I was a music director at the huge New Hope Church up on 169.
Oh
We
my gosh.
hundreds of kids and in choirs and in youth group, and they asked me to be the youth pastor. And I thought they were out to lunch, and the pastor finally pulled me aside and said, "You love kids and that's all they need. So you'll figure the rest out." And I went, "Oh yeah, really?" And the next day I was offered a full-time teaching position at Northwestern College. And again, I was only 22, and most 22-year-olds don't do this. The gift I was just referencing is that I've always been put in positions that I did not feel I deserved or was looking for or anything else. And so as a result, I had a choice of either growing into it or not, and not was not an option. The biggest thing that I'm realizing about putting it all together in this book is how substantially my church background and therefore God, relationship with God has so motivated all of it, and
Yeah.
it continues to motivate it because I love with my own personal journey of being able to being in a church where I was able to come out at a certain point where it was just comfortable, and not only was it comfortable, but it was matter of fact, which is how I want my life to be. It is not how I am determined, although some others would make other choices. But the fact that our church thinks that way, and now more recently has taken an active stand to say we are progressive Christians. What the heck does that mean? And Terry, I don't know if anybody's mentioned it to you, but this past Sunday, for the second time, we did a conference discussion in the sermon time called Tough Questions. And I have a third wind about this whole thing because I'm just excited about our church going down this path. We don't have answers, but we've got a lot of energy and willingness to try. And that's number one for me.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jerry. Thanks for sharing. What else do you want me to know about you guys?
Add something about me. And I know you won't agree with this at all. I ask a ton of questions, so I'm just going to prepare you in advance. And I promise you, it comes from a very genuine place. It's not me.
She interrogates.
He thinks that it's a good place. And I just always want to make sure that I always understand the mission and, anything that's behind a project that I'm on or a task force, is that the mission is always full front and center for me, and that I'm just a very goal-oriented person. So I think I'm just going to always think that way. And secondly, how that will look for our youth and our future. And I don't know if it's just because I'm a mama of two little ones, but I think that's always been on the forefront of my mind lately, is how this will look in the future.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a short story about questions. A true story. And by the way, Amber, I love the way you just sort of pop in there. It's like, he's there. So I was 9 years old, and I went to an ultra orthodox training in Judaism, and I asked a question one time, and I said, "Rabbi," my teacher was a rabbi. I said, "Rabbi, why don't if girls are capable of reading the liturgy, they know the liturgy, why can't they lead the service?" And he said, "Girls are not allowed to lead the service." I said, "Well, why can't they read from the sacred scripture? God gave the scripture to everybody. It said men, women, and children, they were all there. I said, why can't girls read the scripture and at the service? And he said, Terry, don't ask such questions.
Yeah.
So I paused. I was 9 years old. I paused. I looked up at him and I said, Rabbi, if God didn't want me to ask questions, why did God give me a brain? At which point he said, we're calling your mother.
Yeah. There's the door, Terry.
And he grabbed me by the cheek and dragged me into his office and told my mother to come pick me up.
Oh, are you for real?
I am
Did that
for
really
real.
happen? Wow.
Really true story.
Well, hopefully that changed the way he taught a little bit, right?
So ask away. I love
I
questions.
will.
All right, good. What else? Anything else I should know about you guys? David, anything else? You want to tell me about you?
No, I'm a grandfather, and in fact, shared grandchildren with Carolyn. Her daughter and my son were at one time married and had Ryan and Tyler. And now they're
Okay.
divorced, but so Ryan and Tyler are my grandchildren as they are for Carolyn, which is a little unusual.
Yes, I know both your grandsons.
And I have another grandson who was adopted from Senegal, West Africa. And it's changed my worldview.
Oh, I'm sure.
One of the most important things that's ever happened to me. So it's made my life a lot richer.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. My brother adopted a girl from Korea, and that really has enriched our entire family. Emily has been really a true gift to all of us.
Meeting this one, when we graduated school, she ran off to Africa and joined the Peace Corps and lived there for 2 years. So I had it took me another year to finish college, but once I did, I jumped on a plane and went to visit her for a few months. And that was pretty
Africa?
that was pretty life-changing for me.
Yes.
As well.
Late in life, I have been able to memorize all the countries of Africa.
That's getting harder each year. There's more and more.
Yeah.
And now the trick is to remember all the countries that I've memorized. So
Yeah. I have my eldest son had a fellowship taught at the University of Nairobi, and did his doctorate in African authors at Northwestern. And yeah, he's fluent in Swahili and several of the tribal languages as well. It's really pretty incredible. Very proud of him. Judy,
Well,
anything else we should know about you?
I'm waiting. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you ask for somebody else?
Yeah, no, I asked you. I said, is there anything else I should know about you?
Oh, well, I'm just interested when you're all talking about Africa, because I have a grandson who's in the National Guard and is in Africa right now. And so I'm excited for when he gets back to find out quite a bit about his. You don't talk too much about it when they're over there, because I don't think they're supposed to say too much on a call, but I will be interested in that. And I also have a daughter that has adopted 4 children, 2 from Guatemala, 1 from Romania, and 1 from Bulgaria.
Wow.
And then we've
You have-
all had our challenges, however.
You have the United Nations in your family.
Amen.
Yeah. Okay. We're coming towards the end of our hour together. And I was wondering if you have any questions for me, Amber.
What do you like to do for fun?
What do I do for fun? Well, did you see I introduced my kitten?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
having-
Yeah.
I'm having a lot of fun with that. I'm a lifelong jock, so I work out. I have a trainer that I continue to work out with from my old home in Miami. I bicycle ride. I love to walk. I love to hike. Love to hang out with my grandkids and my children as well. my adult kids. I'm an avid reader. And I'm working on my 6th book. It's not work for me. It's really self-expression, and I enjoy it. So, and I love to be in the kitchen and creatively cook. And so, yeah, well, those are all fun things for me. And there's probably, I mean, I go to museums. I love music, especially opera. And yeah, I like going out for beers with my kids. It's really fun. They drink me under the table, but it's okay. Yeah, some of the things I do for fun.
I'm wondering where we go from here. What
Okay,
is our,
so
do we meet separately? Do we meet all together on a Zoom call? I mean, there are several different people in this, on these committees, and, or do we meet at the church? What, how is it gonna go from here?
So this is you're going to be meeting with me 6 times. This first time I called setting out core group formation.
Mhm.
In the ideal world of 2 years ago, I would have flown out to Golden Valley, and I would have spent the day at the church meeting with each of you individually. And then at the evening would have brought everybody together. We would have had dinner and we would have talked about the experience that we had that day. But, we switched to virtual. I felt these kinds of questions, and I wanted to get at some personal, it would have been too much to have everybody on task force
Yeah.
to do it all on Zoom. So that's why I broke the first session into three 1-hour sessions. And I'm glad I did, because the depth that I got from each of these was quite remarkable and really heartwarming. The next step, we'll meet after Easter on a Tuesday evening, and we'll begin to, we're going to reconnect over this. I'm going to give everybody a chance to talk about their experience of meeting like this, and then so that we get the whole group together, and then we'll start working on the visioning process itself, what it is and what it isn't. There'll be some frontal conversation on my part, but and some documents that I will send to Jerry. He'll have for you on the screen. The following week, we talk about what I call the brief history of us. It's how we got here and why we stay. It's about the history of the church, and it's also your personal history with the church. Visioning is not about only looking into the future. It's really about understanding your history and getting rooted. A mission statement is like an anchor to a boat. And I lived in Miami for many years and got into boating, and you don't leave the dock unless your anchor is working properly. So it's not about sailing, it's about when you need the anchor. So a mission statement is that. So we'll look at the mission statement of Spirit of Hope, and we'll look at the greater mission statement of United Methodist Church, so that we are sure that we're anchored to that as well, because that's your umbrella organization, and see how that will guide us and help us to stay anchored. In the 4th session, we're going to talk about this past year, the virtual church. There's been many challenges, but there have also been many gifts of this past year. As I work with people, we talk about a lot of things that they got this year that they would have never had without this. So we're going to talk about that, because we want to capitalize on that. We don't want to lose the gifts of this past year. We want to say goodbye to the challenges. Hopefully they're behind us, and the negatives, but we don't want to throw out the proverbial baby with the bathwater, right, parents? So we'll talk about the virtual church, and then on our 5th session, we'll talk about what it means to gather again, because not everybody is ready to gather, and some people are more than ready to gather. And so what will that look like, and how will you gather people together? And then on my last session with you, we're going to create a roadmap exactly of what are the next steps. And so we're going to be very, very specific, because after that, I'm going to leave you in the hands of your 3 professionals, and they're going to help you put all all the final work on the vision. It was felt that you would be able to do that without my help. So that's the way we planned it. Of course, if things change, I can be flexible and I can help out with that as well. But right now, the plan is for us to get a really good, clear map, you know, GPS, Waze, best route, you know, fastest way to get there. You'll know exactly what to do. We'll figure out who is going to do what on that, and then I'll say goodbye. And hopefully, when you complete the vision statement, Jerry will send it to me, and I'll be able to send you all a love note about how great you've been. So so that's the plan of action. We will be meeting for 90 minutes each time on Zoom. I know it's a lot to stay hooked on Zoom for 90 minutes. But that's what we got. So so we'll if we need a break, you know, or a bio break in the middle, we'll figure that out.
I'll be sending out a reminder email about this. Those 6 weeks were laid out in the original invite note that you all got. But I have not created the Zoom link for it. So at the very least, I need to send you the Zoom link that we will use for all 6 weeks, along with just, I'll be in touch with Terry if you want me to just put some of those titles out again, or if there's anything you want us to prepare for the first week, you can let me know.
Yeah. Yeah, you have the titles in the covenant that we sign. When I don't sign contracts in the work that I do, I sign what is called a covenant, a small covenant. It's not the big covenant that God made with us all, but I like using the word covenant because it lends a certain spiritual basis and a faith basis to the work that we're doing, because I really believe this is God's work. You're all doing God's work by being involved in this process. Because nobody even Jerry, who wanted to do, nobody has to be here tonight. You all made a choice to be here, and you did. And I think in part because of the Spirit of God is in each of us and led us to this choice. So, you know, so I call it a covenant, a small covenant, and so all the titles are in there. But I'm going to send you a couple of docs for the visioning process that I think will be helpful, because I personally am a visual learner, so I use a lot of visuals to help. And that way, when you tune out on all the yak that but you'll have a good picture afterwards, and then it's, oh, that's what he meant. So I draw a lot of visuals even in my blogs. I like to. People tell me, you know, I don't understand a word you're saying, but that picture was great. So.
Good.
Okay. I have a website. It's easy to know, terrybookman.com, and it has my personal phone number as well as my email. And so what I said to Jerry, when I work with anybody, you get me 24/6. I'm really available for you. And the one day I'm not available is my Sabbath, which, you know, we have a lunar calendar. So we go from Friday evening to Saturday evening. So then I usually, I close my computer, I turn off my phone. My kids know how to get me in an emergency. So I like to have that one day that, you know, it's just between me and God. But otherwise, I'm available. And if you have this brainstorm in the middle of the night, especially Austin and Amber, you know, you'll be up there walking with the baby. Just send me an email. By the time it gets here, I'll be up, and I'll write. I personally respond to everything. I don't have anybody. I don't assign this to an assistant. This I do.
terrybookman.com was in your letter of invitation as well. So just hopefully you still have that. You can just feel free to use it.
And it's it'll tell you a little bit more about me and the work that I'm doing and what I'm up to, and, you know, the different comments that people have made about the work I've done all over the world and very proud of, and it'll show you the books I've written. So, you know, it's just fill it out if you're bored and one of those nights when the kids are up, you know, just tune in. But if you want to get to me, please. And it could be about this process, but it could be about something else that's a life thing, or, you know, I always wanted to ask a rabbi this. So here I am. I'm no longer, by the way, I'm no longer in the pulpit. I happily retired from the pulpit after 35 years in 2015. And now I do this work, coaching, consulting, counseling, full-time. Well, a new full-time. For me, 20 hours a week. It's full-time now, after my career of 60 to 80 hours a week. So this is what I do. So let me wish you Godspeed and blessings, and I hope your Easter is joyous, that you really experience the Spirit of Christ risen in your own souls as well as in your community. I know that the music will be great, right, Jerry?
Amen to that.
Amen. And
Recording.
just whatever Easter, whatever you need Easter to be for you this year, I hope it is that way for you. And we'll see you on the other side.
Thank you, Terry.
Yes, thank you.
Jerry. Thanks, everybody.
you.
Thanks.
Good night,
Amber,
everyone.
awesome. Showing up.
Good night.
Blessings.